Marine sergeant come by and say, I don't have anybody. You want to come and see? So I went in the office and I was very impressed with what he told me and the uniform and the way they do things.
Now, where did you muster out of?
Hartford.
And did you have any other family members? Or were there any other family history associated with the Marine Corps? Or are you the first Marine in your family?
Oh, I am the first Marine in my family. My uncle was in the Army in the Second War.
And what was it like, your first days of service in the Marines?
Well, it was terrible the first day. We took a train from Hartford at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we stopped along the way picking up people. And by the time we got down to South Carolina, Parris Island, it was 2 o'clock in the morning, and they put us in the warehouse, and and they told us to go to sleep because we had to wake up at 5. So we all lay on the floor because there was nothing in the building to sleep or anything. Just a plain concrete floor. And the next morning, about 5, I think, somebody came in and threw a garbage can against the wall, and everybody jumped. So that was the first introduction.
Do you remember your drill instructor?
Names. I have my book with the names, but I don't remember. I don't remember their names right off. No.
Now, when your training began, what were the first things that you learned in the Marine Corps?
Well, the first things you learn in the boot camp is really for you learn the march, drill and ceremonies, the UCM jail, how to march, how to learn first aid, how to so you learn the instruction of the Marines from enlisted to officers, and also they teach you the history of the Marine Corps.
And how'd you get through it, mentally and physically?
I was demanding both mentally and physically. I was petrified most of the time. There was so much screaming and yelling, and they kick you and punch you and everything in the stomach, and they come real close to your face and scream at you, and so you were in a shock all through the training, because you've never been in situations like that before. People screaming and yelling at you, and you can't do anything until they tell you to. Not even speak or take a shower, and now you have to go by the way they tell you all the time. And the best way to get through it is just do it. Don't argue, don't ask questions. It's going to be worse for you.
What were some of the punishments like for people who did speak up or ask questions?
They gang up on you. They scream at you and yell at you and try to bring you down to the like you think that you are nothing, they're worthless, and if you answer some questions, they usually give you push-ups, or they make you to stand in attention for hours, or when you go to the chow hall, they put you on the end of the line all the time for about a week or 3 days or 4 days.
Now, by the end of training, what was your military occupational specialty?
Well, after boot camp, you had to go through what they call advanced infantry training, and the people that goes to different, you're going to be in tanks or motors or engineer or after the advanced infantry training, which is 12 more weeks, they give you orders. You're going to be 0311, which was infantry. I don't remember the other ones. That was the job title. 0311 means infantry. So you had to go to another training. You had to learn how to prepare for ambushes, how to advance, and if when somebody's firing at you, how to charge into bunkers, how to interpret situations that you face, or how to if you are observing an enemy, how to tell the officers from the enlisted men what are they doing, where are they heading, what kind of weapons they carry, and all that stuff.
Now, on the topic of weapons, what weapons did you train with as a rifleman?
M60 machine gun, M14 rifle, a pistol 45, flamethrower, 50 machine gun, bazooka, 3.5 bazooka. What was the other one? Was another weapon that.
Were you ever trained on the M16 rifle?
Oh, that was afterwards. When I went in, they didn't have it. They had the M14. They didn't have the M16. The M16 came in maybe 1969 or 70, I think it was. But when I went in, we had the M14.
And so, where did you take your AIT?
They took us to Camp Lejeune, and it's a camp within Camp Lejeune, Camp Geiger. That's where you take your AIT, Advanced Infantry Training, in that little camp inside Camp Lejeune, because Camp Lejeune is the home of the 2nd Marine Division. So the division barracks were on one side, and Camp Geiger was on the other side.
So did you feel that by the end of your training, you were ready for a combat deployment?
Yes, I think I was ready, yeah.
So where did the Marine Corps send you?
From Geiger, we went to Pendleton in San Diego for a month or 2 months, 1 month, 2 months of survival training. And there you learn how to find different kinds of animals in the jungle, or how to kill them, bugs and snakes and things like that. How to cook things, and how to escape an invasion, and how to if you like the last thing they tell you is you had to escape from a POW camp, I remember, and they tell you escape from this POW camp, and there's a big fire far away. Say that's what you had to head to that fire, and you had to avoid enemy patrols on your way down. So you had to escape from there, like on 1 and 2 and 3 guys at a time, and head to that fire. So they give you had to escape at night, maybe 1 o'clock in the morning, something like that. So they give you that whatever's left of the night and the whole day to make it to the camp. If you don't make it, you have to start over again the next night.
Is that what they call the SEER school?
Yes.
Survival, evasion,
Yes. Yeah.
resistance,
Yeah.
and escape?
Yeah.
So, did they begin doing that for Marine Corps soldiers during Vietnam, or had that existed beforehand?
I don't know. I don't know if the Korean guys went through that. But I know we all went through that. the guys from the EC and the guys that goes to Pendleton. But I don't remember. I don't know if the Second World War or the Korean War had to go through that.
And was that only for Marines expecting combat deployments, or did every Marine get that kind of training?
No, that was only for the combat arms branch of the service. Because in the service they had combat arms, which is tanks, combat engineers, artillery, and tanks. Those are the combat arms elements. The other like cooks, supply, clerks, administration, finance, they don't have to go through that because they don't qualify as combat.
And so after your SEER training, where did you go?
After that, we left, then we stopped in Hawaii for the day. From Hawaii, we went to Okinawa. In Okinawa, we stayed for about a month, getting shots and getting different kind of supply for clothing, boots, socks, and stuff like that.
Did you get any special equipment for the jungle? Any kind of special jungle clothing or weapons or equipment?
We had to change our boots. They give us the jungle boots with it had like a little holes in the side. So when you go through the water, instead of staying inside, every time you walk, this leaks out through those little holes. And the palm of the boot has a metal in it, because those pointy pits they have, you stepped on it, so that will help you. That metal on the sole of the boot from the toes all the way to the heel, help you. And
did you ever see any of those kind of booby traps in country?
Yeah, I saw the ones that you stepped on it, and they put nails on it, nails, and they had sticks on the bottom. Now nails, when you step on it, the flops go like this, so they got you in there on both sides of your foot and underneath. And also it was mines and traps they make with cans.
Sea ration cans?
Sea ration cans and all that. They make mines with that. They get powder, or they fill it up with nails or glass or something, and they put a primer or the blasting cap, and they put them on one end of the trail, and they put this little fine thread that you don't hardly see it. So you trip it and boom. Sometimes they use grenades, the ones we lose, or the ones they capture, the ones they take from the arbors, and they pull the pin almost all the way out, and they put the same thread, and when you trip it, the pin comes out on a grenade, explode.
Did you ever experience any kind of booby trap when you were out in the field?
I saw a lot of guys hit the booby traps, mines, and I also saw some of the guys get. We had some good appointments, though. You had appointments that they can see a mine or whatever ahead. They got this some kind of extra.
Like a sixth sense?
Yeah, sixth sense. So you see them, they're ahead of you at our appointment, but they sense it, so they stop, and you have to look, and you know, is a mine or a booby trap or something ahead. And sometimes they even ambush it. You know, they walk and they sense there is an ambush up there. And also the smell, you can tell because the enemy has smell like, I don't know, rotten fish or some stuff they eat are made out of vegetables and seaweed.
Is that kimchi?
Yeah. I smell rotten. So they also make it like that. So you can smell, if they went through there, the smell will last there for days, I think. And on the other hand, maybe they smell us too, who knows? Maybe we smell also, who knows? But, because they carry those fish and those that thing that made out of those vegetable or seaweed or something, they carry that with them, so you usually can smell that.
Now, how would a point man be selected? Is it something you volunteer for?
No, they usually, when you get into country, they the company commander or the platoon that's leading, the platoon commander, usually a lieutenant, say the squad will be leading the squad leader will choose the appointment, and he will know who will be the best guy to fight his experience. Usually the guy would be there the longest, 6, 7, or 8 months, had a lot of experience, will lead.
And is that a dangerous job?
Oh, it is, yeah, because you'll be the first one to get it. You hit an ambush. A lot. Also, sometimes appointment come face to face with the enemy. Whoever react first will survive. You know? And most of the time, those appointments, they carry the rifle on and the safety off in full automatic. So they only have to just pull the trigger, and a lot of appointments survive that way.
Just by reflexes.
Yes.
So let's come back to your first in-country experiences. When you were deployed in country, did you land at Da Nang?
We land at Tanzania, I think it was here.
And from Saigon, where did you go?
From Saigon, they took us north towards the DMC, a place called Anhua. That was our combat base, the 5th Marine Regiment combat base. We were way north. We never went to Saigon. We don't even know how Saigon looks like. The only way you can go down to the town Da Nang was when you get wounded. That you had to go to the naval hospital, which it was in Da Nang by the ocean there.
So how close were you to the 17th parallel, to the DMZ?
We the 9th Marine Regiment, which was in Quan Tri, I think it was. They were like maybe 300 miles from the DMC because they will get rounds every those big heavy guns from the North Vietnamese army. They used to bombard them once in a while. We must have been maybe 200 miles, 300 miles from the DMC.
So, do you remember arriving in camp? What was that like?
When we arrived to the combat base, and what you had to go, I think it was a week or 2 weeks to acclimatation. They call them acclimation. Yeah. So they take you to different places, and they tell you about the booby traps and the enemy, and they figured you had to acclimate to the heat and to the monsoon. So for 2 weeks we stay in the rear, learning all the stuff that you had to learn when you go into the jungle.
And how dense was the jungle in that area? I mean, could you see the sun, or like how deep into the jungle did you go?
Well, The jungle was very thick, and so many vines coming left, from everywhere, and you have so many things on your back. When you walk, the vines cut on you, and you'll be pulling here and pulling there.
What was your usual combat load?
Oh,
What weight were you carrying?
60 or 70 pounds maybe, because you had to carry in your pack. You had to carry extra socks, your riding gear, riding gear for a plastic bag, and we had to carry. I carried 4 canteens of water.
1 quart canteens, how much they held?
Yeah, they were very heavy. The plastic ones, no, the metal ones. The metal ones are smaller. I used plastic canteens, and then you had to carry a rifle, 1 flare, hand flare, the long one. The one you took the top, put it in the back, and hit it. Hand flares. Then you had to carry your grenades, a gas grenade, like 5 or 6 fragmentation grenades. 7. Well, as many you want, because the grenades go real fast when you start throwing them.
How about any smoke grenades?
Yeah, they had to carry a smoke grenade, either green or yellow or red. Also, you had to carry trip flares and a mortar round for 60 mortars, and claymore mine, and extra ammo, the bandolier. I carry 16 magazines of ammo plus an extra bandolier.
16 magazines?
Yes.
How many bullets were in each magazine?
That's the old magazines, 20. But you can't put 20 because they're jammed. You have to put like 18. Because you put 20, the spring, yeah, it will jam. Because the spring doesn't have enough room, I guess. So you have to put about 18 of them in a magazine.
So once you were in country, were you issued the M14 or the M16?
No, some people had the M14. By the time we got there, they already had switched to the M16. But some guys carry the M14.
Would you carry any? Oh, I'm sorry.
The M14 was a good rifle.
Which would you have preferred?
The M14, which was heavier, was made out of wood. It has a longer range, and it was very solid. The M16 was made out of plastic. Everything was made out of plastic. The handguards, the butt of the rifle. You hit somebody hard enough, it would break. The M16.
Were you still issued bayonets?
Yes. Yeah.
And would you carry extra ammunition for the M60?
Well, we have they have after some of the guys, after the advanced infantry training, they get qualified as a machine gunner. So they go to this machine gun training for several weeks. So they become, they have to qualify with a machine gun, M60 machine gun. So each platoon have two machine guns crew. A machine gun crew is the gunner, the 8 gunner, and the two ammo humpers. And sometimes you get protection by the infantry, but that's the machine gun crew, the gunner and 8 gunner, the ammo humper. And we had to carry, each squad had to carry 1 can of M60 for the machine gun, because when the firefighters, the machine guns, even though you're supposed to fire like in burps, like ta-ta-ta-ta, ta-ta-ta-ta, you're not supposed to squish the tree and then let everything fly, because the machine gun belt, every 5 is a tracer, yeah. So that they put those tracers in there so you know where you hitting. And So like every tracer, you squeeze the trigger and you let it fly, like pa 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 pa, like, so you can't see where you're hitting. But those machine gunners, they're excellent.
Did your squad, did they carry any other heavy weapons?
Bazooka and claymores.
What about the M79?
Yeah. That's right. The blooper. Forgot.
Why was it called the blooper?
We call it the blooper. I don't really know. Blooper round. It was a gun that open up like that, and you stick the round and close it. We had a guy that, especially for that, he carried maybe 30 rounds. Yeah, we carry extra of those because that blooper had AG round, high explosive. They had a smoke rounds too, and they had no smoke and what's the name of the other round?
Pyrotechnic?
Yeah, the one that burned.
Incendiary?
Yes, yeah.
That sounds like a lot of equipment.
Yeah, that little blooper has a lot of firepower, a little round like long butt. So yeah, that's the M79. Yeah.
So, with all this equipment, and all the ammunition that you carry, if you got into one of these firefights, how long would your ammunition last? Would it depend on the situation, or did you feel like if you guys were ambushed or were planning an attack, you had enough ammunition to get you through it?
Well, you had to figure if it's a long fight, you're going to run out of ammo, so you had to discipline yourself. Also, you had to figure you had to try to suppress the enemy fire. Like your fire be more than they fire you, so they will keep their head down instead of you. So you had to keep a steady fire. But you had to, I don't know, if the firefight goes by 20 minutes or half an hour, you have to look at your magazine, how many you got left, and see how many grenades you have left. Because in some cases, even you have to do your hand flare, just aim it straight, and cause that thing goes like 90 miles an hour, shoom. Yeah, and you see a guy there exploding in all kinds of colors. Yeah, it comes to just use anything you have. Even we had a gas grenade, I think it was tear gas, I think it was. But when you try, you had to look at the wind when it was blowing, because it might blow right back into you.
Did were your squad issued gas masks?
Yes, yeah.
Did you carry them in the field?
Yeah, gas mask. We had the flat jackets, they call them. It was a jacket that you put underneath you with the square.
The ceramic tiles?
Yes, yeah.
Now, it's kind of an off the sheet question, but in photographs from the Vietnam War, I've noticed that when you look at pictures of the U.S. Army and then look at pictures of the U.S. Marine Corps, the Marines always seem to be wearing flak jackets more often than the Army. So, was there some kind of discipline or some kind of order among the NCOs and officers? Did you have to wear your flak jacket at all times?
Yes, well, an order that you had to wear it. You had to wear your flak jacket and your helmet all the time. That was an order issue, and we, since the first week in boot camp, order has to be obeyed, or you suffer the consequences. So they tell you to put your flak jacket and your helmet all the time, and that's what you have to do, because that will keep you alive and help you.
So now, did that flak jacket or helmet ever save your life?
Well, if the explosion was close to you, that those tiles. I said, what did you say that?
Ceramic?
The ceramic tiles. They would stop a lot of fragmentation. Yeah.
Would they stop a bullet?
Yeah, it comes from even a helmet. Your helmet stop. Well, the helmet stop a bullet if it comes from a long. The helmet's very hard. You know those metal helmets we have.
Steel, right?
Yeah, it's steel. But if it's so, sometimes some guys get shot in a helmet, and somehow, because inside the helmet is a liner. You know, it's a liner with the straps, the headband. So some guys get shot through the helmet, and somehow the bullet hit maybe the straps, because the straps are held by metal things. Maybe the bullet hit one, and it goes around in there, and they don't get, they're lucky. You see guys holding a helmet with a shot in there, and they're lucky that they didn't, that they didn't get killed.
So how heavy were the jacket and helmet?
The flight jacket. Oh, the flight jacket was very heavy. Must be, maybe 7 or 10 pounds. All those ceramic tiles in there. Yeah.
And let's see. Did all the weapons in your squad? I know now in the service, I don't think the rifles are fully automatic, but with the M14, the M16, the M60, like, could all those weapons shoot full auto?
Yeah, semi-auto. You have a switch. You can change it to semi, then full. Just flip the switch. Yeah.
And were there any orders about fire discipline between the two, or was it just with your discretion?
Well, most of the time you go semi. Fully, mostly for the point man, or you go out into an ambush. You put it in full automatic, because full automatic, the whole 18 rounds would go in seconds, and the aim is not good when you fire automatic. You have more aim when you fire semi. Even you can squish the trigger faster you can, and you get more. It's more efficient that way.
So while you were in country, how often did you go on ambush missions as opposed to patrols?
Patrols were every day, but battalion, each battalion has 4 companies, so each company, sometimes a company goes on a patrol one time. You're there together, or sometimes you go by yourself as a company. So you had to send patrols to different places, like ghosts, 100 kilometers, then make a left and go around you're where you're staying. And well, a patrol, they don't send patrols too far away in the jungle, because maybe a squad was under strength. It wasn't like few people. A squad's supposed to have 12 men, I think it is, 12 or 13 men, I think. And we only have like 8 or 9 men in a squad, so you can't send that many people too far away, maybe 100 meters, 200 meters, or 300 meters out. Tell them to make a left around and come back. And when there was operations, that the whole battalion was 4 companies, it was a little different. You got more people, and you got more fire support, and they send you farther away, and sometimes they will send you overnight. For an ambush, you take 4, 5, 6 people on an ambush, and you have to wait until it's dark to leave, because if the enemy is watching you, they will Well, you have to go in the daytime and find a place, then come back and leave when it's dark. Not too far from you company perimeter, because you had to run back. You don't want to get cut between the enemy and
In your base?
yeah. So they don't send you to, and then it was some kind of trouble. They call you back. They call you back, so you have to run back fast as you can in your own lines, because everything out there will be enemy. So
where you stayed, was that a fire base? I mean,
combat base.
Okay.
That was a 5th Regiment combat base. And we had all around our lines. We had I think it was a battalion of 105 and 155. They come from the 10th Regiment, which is artillery, and we had combat engineers, and we had some ARBANs. That's the Sub-Vietnamese Army, and we had some snipers too.
So at any time when you were out in the field, could you call in for air or artillery support?
Yeah, we had an officer from the artillery, called an FO, forward observer. He calls, and he called for the planes, I think too. Well, that was the I don't know if that was, what was the commander? They called for the plane, for the jets, and also you can call for the ships with our out in the ocean. I think that's up to the lieutenant and the platoon commander. He can also call if the FO is not around, or he's been hit, or the platoon commander is authorized to call for air, sea, or land support.
And also, when you left your base, would you usually walk out on patrols, or were you helicoptered out?
Sometimes we walk, sometimes we helicopter out. How far are we going?
Would it be the Hueys or those big CH-46s?
No, the CH-46s. Yeah.
And so I noticed on your Vietnam service ribbon you got 3 stars. So
that's the they call them Bronze Stars. That's for the
are those for subsequent tours? Did you do more than one tour?
I think this is for see, it's 2 different kind of medals. The ones that your government give you, and the one that the country you're fighting for give you. This medal is given by the Vietnamese, and I think they give you those stars for defending their country.
So yeah, like a national defense medal?
Yes, yes.
So you mentioned before that there are ARBAN stationed at your base. What was your relationship with the ARBAN at the time? Like, would you ever go out on patrols with them, or what was their responsibility on base?
Well, there was a battalion, infantry battalion there were, but nobody really, because they were very poor fighters, some of them I guess, and they used to steal from you. One time one stole my boots, I remember, and some of the ARBANs, you go with them, and you feel like blocking force, or you're supposed to help them, and sometimes they even fire you. You be getting fired from a place that you're supposed to be getting fired, and they say, "Oh, that's an ARBAN unit." So are you telling them we're with them? And they rather let somebody else do the fighting than they do it themselves. Well, you had some good units too in the South Vietnamese Army. Yeah. they fought good. Sometimes they fought very good, but sometimes they got overrun by the Viet Cong and the NBA.
So where you were deployed, who did you come into contact with more often, the Viet Cong or the North Vietnamese Army?
Morley, BC, Viet Cong, down in the flatlands. And you go up in the highlands, it was mostly NBA.
Now, who were the better fighters in your opinion?
Well, the NBA, it was a regular soldier. They went to training and everything. They were very, very better soldiers than the Viet Cong. The Viet Cong, they usually were farmers during the day, and night they attack you. And they hit you and they fly, they run away, so they were hard to catch.
Now, how close did you ever come? Did you ever see your enemy when you were out?
Most of the ones I saw are dead. I saw some running in the distance. I saw some prisoners, yeah. But the ones I saw mostly were dead, and we and fights, and we went by through them. That's the only ones I saw, yeah.
So for the most part, when you were overseas and were going out on these patrols, how often were you engaged in combat? Like, was it a regular thing? Were you almost did you feel like you were under siege, or would it be sporadic?
Sometimes you go for days without, you know they're there because you see the tracks and you see the different things that you know there, but you won't see them. And sometimes you walk in and everything break loose, and machine guns and mortars and everything coming to you. And I say that it was like. Plus, you also on the trail, you hit those mines and booby traps. That was very bad too, because they even booby trapped the rice paddy dikes. You know, those dikes you walk by. So
were the farmers also getting hit, or were the farmers the ones placing those mines?
Yeah, because they never sent to. And you ask and they say no VC, but they never hit those mines. So they must know who put them there and who. Because you go through a village deep in a jungle, and you don't see no young men at all. You see mostly women, babies, and old men in a village, and you see babies and some pregnant women. So it must be somebody around. But I guess they get. When they see us coming, they run into the jungle, I guess. And like those hooches they had in the jungles, they had a little bunker. Each hooch had a little bunker. That's why we used to go sleep at night.
So did your platoon ever discover any of these tunnels or underground tunnels?
Yes, we discovered a little tunnel.
Did you ever have to go down one?
Yeah, I went to one time. Went to one tunnel, and I borrowed the Corman pistol, and he had never used it, and it was that thing. Everything was stuck. That thing would not even fire because the
slide was.
Everything was stuck. He hasn't fired at all, and he goes through water and mud and everything. So the thing was stuck together, and. I didn't know that. Afterwards, I did it. But I went into the tunnel with a pistol and even fired. Can you imagine? And I talked with the corpsman, and he said, "I never fired those pistols." But it was like a bunker. Inside it, they had bamboo going like this, all the way through the bunker. I didn't go too far in. I went down because I was the smallest and the skinniest in my squad. The smallest and the skinniest to go through the hole.
So your body size volunteer.
Yeah.
All right.
because the holes are small. But when you go into it, expand to a big place. And some of those places they had booby traps, they had snakes, they had tunnels that you go, then you get one out like that. So you had to you go up, and the first thing that stick out is your head. So they had some kind of trap there to go right to your neck and your head and everything. Yeah.
So did you find anything when you went in the tunnel complex?
I found some bloody bandages and about 2 bags of rice. So it seems like they run away when they see us coming.
So when you discovered the Vietnamese, the Viet Cong bodies, things like that, what kind of weapons were they usually armed with?
AK-47 and Chinese SK-8 Chinese.
All those.
The one with a long bayonet, metal.
The SKS?
Yes, the SKS. That's Chinese, right? Yeah, that one.
So those would have come from the Soviet Union or China?
Yeah. That's when the one that were supplying them. Well, you get brand new AK-47s in these guys. The one that there's a rifle and the one that looks like a little machine gun. It has a metal. It has a metal supposed to lift it up when you're gonna. Is that the assault one? It has a hook like that you put it underneath, and when you want to put it on your shoulder, you lift the.
Oh, the folding stock?
Yeah.
But brand new?
Brand new. And a lot of guys wants them. You see guys walking around with brand new AKs after a fight, and send them to the rear, and the officers take them.
Were there any Marines in the field that preferred to use AK-47s?
Yeah, it was a better rifle.
It was?
Yeah, you can put a rifle in a rice paddy for a month and take it out and fire, and it fires like, it's made very solid wood, heavy, like the M14.
It's a bigger bullet too, right?
Yes, it does. We was using, the M14 uses 7.62, I think it is. And the AK is 7. It's bigger. They won't fit in each other's.
So you talked about how officers like to take these in the rear, recover the weapons. Were any of these considered trophies by the Marines? I mean, would you, when you captured a rifle, what would it be? What would happen to it? Would it be sent away, or would it be?
Yeah, you won't be able to carry that away with you. They take it away right away and send it back to the rear, and they or disappear in the rear. So, but I don't think any enlisted man has one of those rifles, those AK, that I know.
So, on the topic of equipment, as you stayed in Vietnam and completed your tour, did you notice anything different going on with the equipment that you were issued by the U.S. Marine Corps? Did things, did you get nylon gear instead of canvas gear, or did uniforms change at all?
Well, we were wearing that camouflage uniform, tropical camouflage uniform.
Oh, instead of green?
Yeah, instead of green, we wear the camouflage. Yeah, the Marine did. But most of the time, when the squad leader go around, who needs trousers or shirts or socks, what they send you was all used stuff. What you get the next time the supply comes was used. The only time you get new stuff when you go to the hospital in Da Nang, to Naval Hospital, when they discharge you, they give you a brand new camouflage uniform, brand new boots, brand new hat, everything brand new.
And so, was the camouflage uniform unique to the Marine Corps, or with the Army and the Navy and the Air Force also?
I think the Army used that green, that green jungle with those big pockets. whatever green. Yeah, and I think the some of the some of the urban units they used to camouflage the tiger.
Tiger stripes?
Yeah, tiger stripes.
Big horizontal stripes?
Yeah. Some of the Americans with them, they adapt that uniform.
So did you ever encounter any of these special forces when you were out in the field? Did you ever work with any Marine special forces, the Navy?
We work with the I think it was 199 Light Infantry Brigade. I think it was. It was 199. It was the 196 and 199 Light Infantry Brigade from the Army. We worked with them in the Ashwa Valley, but we sometimes we was used as a support for the blocking force for the Korean Marines.
For the rocks?
Yeah, well, they were good. They were the best. They didn't fool around. When they went to a village, they killed everything: water buffaloes, chickens, cats, people. They didn't fool around. Those rock Marines. They were the best there. And sometimes we work with them as a blocking force.
And they wore a uniform similar to the World War II Marine Corps. Did they wear
the Koreans, yeah.
And were they almost co-trained? Were they how? I know that they were a Marine Corps, but
Korean Marines. They got their own training in South Korea. They I guess they got Marine Corps officers training them in South Korea. Yeah, and but they had a whole division of battalions in Vietnam, where they were the best. They didn't fool around. The enemy didn't fool around with. They make a big bird around the Koreans when if they know they were somewhere. The VC and the NBA. They rather fight somebody else than the Koreans.
So, were there any other nationalities in the area? There were Koreans,
Australians, Korean Australians, and I think it was a Filipino artillery battalion there too, and New Zealand. That's the one I remember. Mostly Korean Marines and New Zealand, Australians. They're feathered sows, though.
So when it came down to daily life in the service, when you were in the Marine Corps, how'd you stay in touch with your family?
You mean in country or?
While you were in Vietnam, how were you able to keep in touch
letters.
with folks?
I took a month, 2 months to get a letter. Sometimes 3 months you're out in the jungle, because you used to go out for 90 days, 3 months, 4 months, and sometimes it was hard to get letters because you're in a hot LC, used to call them, a hot landing zone, so the helicopters didn't want to come. So sometimes a month, 2 months to get a letter, 3 months to get letters from home.
And so, other questions about day-to-day personal life while you're over there. When you were in country, were you served meals like in a cafeteria, or was it all canned food?
Sea rations.
In the field and on the base?
Yeah, those sea rations for the Second World War.
They look like tuna cans.
Yeah, green cans, little cans they have. In a box, you had a meal. We call it John Wayne crackers. Yeah, or a little can with about 4 crackers in it, real hard crackers. Then you have a can with peanut butter or jam. Then you have a little can of fruit, and a big container. Inside that container, you had the toilet paper, chewing gum, and a cigarette with 4 cigarettes in it. Yeah, chewing gum, cigarettes, toilet paper, and salt, pepper, and coffee, and cream.
Now, I know it probably varied on a squad-to-squad basis, but would your officers or NCOs let you smoke in the field? Like while you're out on patrol?
Well, not because the smoke, the smell, you can smell smoke in the jungle if you were around. Also, at night, when you take a cigarette to your mouth, a little light and see it miles away. You sniper there somewhere, or a guy, a good sniper can figure out when you bring your cigarette to your mouth, the distance between, the thing, and hit you right on the forehead. So you don't, no, at night you have to cover it up, when you smoke. If you smoke. I didn't smoke, so. I used to trade my cigarettes for, I used to give them away, or trade them for chewing gum or coffee. Everybody gets, I drink a lot of coffee. It comes in a like in a sugar.
Like a little paper?
Yeah, paper, yeah.
Like instant coffee?
Yeah, yeah.
So what were the meals like, and how did they taste?
Oh, for me, it was good.
Oh.
When you had nothing else to eat.
I think you're the first person I've ever heard that said that.
When you had nothing else to eat, then we learned how to mix them up. Sometimes you get those ham and eggs. That was bad. That was awful. Those ham and eggs in a can. You can mix them up with something else. You got ground beef and potatoes, ham, pork slices. Pork slices were bad too. The best was beans and fries. That was a good one. Those cans are bigger than the other cans. Beans and fries. And the fruit, everybody was after the fruit. One thing that nobody likes was the fruit cakes. Nobody likes that. So, but I used to save them because a lot of people did. Because sometimes if you hit the fan somewhere at fight, you won't get nothing for days. So that's the time when you see people walking around looking for anything to eat. And that's when you see people eating the fruitcake. They eat so much.
But was it completely random what meals you got when you were assigned?
Well, they give you a box. The box has what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15 little boxes in it, I think it was. And the squad leader opened the box and you go and get. Because some meals are better than others. I remember on bunker watch because we used to go out for 90 days, come back, but the whole battalion goes out, come back, and the battalion was back, goes out, and while you were back in a combat base, you go out and bunker watch at night, around the perimeter. They had these huge bunkers. And remember, I used to go by the quartermaster was there, and they had all the supplies and everything. And I used to grab a whole can of sea rations. I used 3 of us in the bunker there, and you can eat sea rations all night, and you can get the best meals out of it. Cause I had cases, the whole building like this, and full of sea rations.
So, did you ever feel especially pressured or stressed out while you were deployed to Vietnam? Like any kind of combat anxiety?
Well, sometimes I guess when but you don't show it because you're supposed to you can't dwell on it because you have to. It's like a moment thing. It happens, then you block it away. Because you have to be alert, all the time. So yeah, well, they give you like in my case, I've been in country like 8 months. They give you R&R, and they had Australia, Japan, Philippines, uh, what was that British colony in China? Hong Kong, and Kuala Lumpur, I think it was. They call you and say, hey, we have an opening for R&R. You want to go? So I went to Bangkok in Thailand for 6 days. They have everything paid for it in there when you go. They have the motel pay for it, and they pick you up and they fly you from Freedom Hill, we used to call them. Freedom Hill, they fly you to Thailand in Bangkok. From there, they put you on a bus. They bring you to the hotel, and in the hotel, they got meals waiting for you and everything.
How's the food in Thailand?
It was the Oriental food they had.
Was it good?
Yeah, that's the first time I eat Oriental. Can you imagine Oriental rice in Thailand? And they had American bases in Thailand, because from Thailand that's where they used to send the B-52s, I think, wasn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
What was the air base out there? It'll come to me.
Dana? No. Upa?
Udorn and Udorn Air Force bases in Thailand. And
Yeah.
I think there were a few others, but yeah, I think the B-52 strikes flew out.
Yeah.
Did you ever see an arc light strike while you were in the field? Did you ever see a B-52 bombing raid?
Yeah, I saw them in a distance, and the B-52 they used to come like in the morning most of the time, early in the morning, and late in the afternoon. You can see them in the distance, a line of bombs coming from the plane to the ground, and it took a few minutes by the time you hear that the boom, 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 by the time you got from where they were to you. But that plane, I think, was, we call them Spooky or Snoopy, I forgot.
Spooky? Those the gunships?
That's the
AK-47s?
plane that comes at night.
With the Gatling guns?
Yes, yeah. That plane.
You saw one of those fire missions?
Yeah, those planes used to come and you hear,
And you can just see the line of tracers.
that's right, a line of tracers from the plane to the
It
ground.
looks like a laser beam.
Yes. And I only saw them at night. I guess they come in the day too, but I never saw the plane though. I saw the bullets and all that. And they used to, somebody said they used to, the whole football field like, and one of those, when they fire.
I think it's something like 6,000 rounds a minute.
Yeah. Or it goes like, and they go around and around like that. Like when they drop those H-bomb, those flame, not flame, but there's a liquid.
The fuel air bombs?
Yeah, there's a liquid that burns through everything.
Oh, the napalm?
Yeah, napalm. Those things are, I don't even know, if somebody was dropping those things on me, I would surrender right away. I don't know how can anybody understand that, because sometimes they used to drop those things like from here to the end of the wall, and you were in a hole and you can feel that heat was intense. My God, it was like you were burning up. And it was something like melted something. Afterward, you see that the melted metal or something was. Those bones are very, very mean.
So how close were you to, when he called in an airstrike, how close were your targets?
Also, sometimes you close, you hear the big chunks of metals go flying by with you in a hole. When they call the jets up to drop those bombs.
And would it usually be the Navy or the Air Force supporting you?
This whole depends. Because if the planes are up on the ground, the artillery can fire, or the ships. So if the planes are on the ground, they don't fire. When the planes leave, then the Navy start, and you can hear they make that sound like in the movies. You know that sound you hear in the movies? It sounds exactly the same. But you know, it's hard because when you had the Navy or those heavy guns fire over you, it's always, you had all right to worry. There's always a short round. For some reason, it's always a short round. It lands right on you, on your lap. The powder, somehow the powder is not the same. It's always a short round that doesn't go where it's supposed to go.
So, speaking of short rounds and those worries about something happening to you, did you do anything special for good luck while you were in country?
I remember I was watching the Second World War, an Italian movie with the fighting, and the Italians was to say you had in combat you had three miracles. 3 miracles to if you go those 3 miracles you survive. Then I was there. I remember I used to count. Oh, this was my first miracle, and this was my second miracle. And I used to pray. I used to see the chaplain. So I was raised as a Catholic, so I had a lot of faith. So that would keep me going. I wasn't afraid. That would keep me going. My faith, religion. I knew I was going to make it. So I knew I was going to make it. So that helps.
How'd you know? Like, what made you?
No, I said I'm not gonna die here. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it. Because I know some guys they say, oh, I got this premonition that I'm gonna die, and they do die. You know, they do die.
So between the prayers and the miracles, you knew you were gonna make it through.
Yeah.
So, but while you were there, how did you keep yourself entertained?
Well, I don't. Out in jungles, you know, you were so tired because you only sleep like 2-3 hours at night. Sometimes 1 hour at night. You're so tired. You're walking. Sometimes you're walking and they stop the line, and you see a lot of guys leaning against falling asleep walking. You're so tired, so out in the jungle, if you get a little time off, just drop, because you never know if you're going to be awake all night long, and after walking for miles and miles and miles, and you've been there like 8-7 months. You know how many sleep you were missing? Oh, you had that stare looking in your eyes. Used to call them that big stare. I think what's the name of it?
Was it the 100-yard stare?
Yeah.
But that reminds me of a question. For conscripted Army troops, the deployment time was a year. As a volunteer for the United States Marine Corps, how long was your deployment?
13 months.
13 months.
Then if you want to extend it, 6 months if you want to extend.
And how long did you stay in country?
13 months.
And while you were in the country of South Vietnam, you said you were stationed at Anhua and also down in the A Shaw Valley. Did you have any other deployments around the country?
Oh, we used to go in operations at different places. A place called Arizona Territory. That was a hot place there too. That was an NBA battalion in there. We go there, and that place was, everybody goes in there, fight. That was a fight day and night in there. That's why they call them Arizona Territory, because that place was tough. They had battalions of NBA in there, and every battalion goes in there, fights every day, every night. There was a fight everywhere you went. You had to be sure it was a fight. fight with regulars, no Viet Cong.
How long was your deployment there?
We used to go to Arizona for. If you go as a battalion, it was maybe a month or two. If you get hit real bad, they pull you out right away. If you lose a lot of people.
Were you ever wounded?
Yes, wounded in the shoulder, and that's when I went to Da Nang. Also, I got malaria. I ended up in Da Nang too with malaria. That was very, very tough.
Do you still suffer from it?
Yeah, because they say malaria never. They put them to sleep. That's what they say in your system. That's the sleep. So sometimes it wakes up.
But so while you were in the service, it seems like you had plenty of combat experience. What was that like? You know, these days of combat.
Sometimes was pure horror, madness, and everything, and that's why in boot camp they train you that way, so you can face combat, because combat is a very, very awful thing. That's why they afterwards you go to Vietnam. We all learn that's why they would treat you in boot camp and advanced infantry training the way they treat you, screaming and yelling and pushing you to the limits, because combat, that takes everything out of you. Combat, physically, mentally, and it's one thing that you just say, I'm leaving, I'm going home. It's one thing you have to go day after day after day after day after day. You either get wounded or you get killed or something, or get captured.
So now, those days, months, years of exhaustion that you experienced, do you still feel like you suffer from any of that stress from your Vietnam memories?
Yeah, as I get older, it's less and less, but younger you are, things that bring you back, smells or planes or noises or nightmares, or sometimes you're sitting and somebody touch you on the back and you jump like up in the air. I think that they call it the flashbacks. I think that's what they call those. But I think as you go along in life, it gets less and less and less. But you never get, 100%. You always remember. You always look. You always if I stay in a motel or I'm moving to a different house or apartment, I always go there and look all around and go around outside. I'm checking everything. That's that bunker mentality or something. Like you were looking for things. I don't do that because I want to do like I do it, without thinking. Checking the doors, checking the windows, checking this, go around the house, looking. So those things I think never goes away. You talk to a Second World War veterans, they're 80s now. The ones that like in the Pacific or Normandy, they tell you that's a thing that never goes away. But sometimes you have to learn how to live with it,
And I'm sure another rough memory was what were your experiences like when you came home from Vietnam back to the United States?
Well, when we come back, we had time left in the service. I think it was 18 months. So we landed at Treasure Island. And it's funny because I walked to the pier and I look across, I saw Alcatraz. First time I see Alcatraz in my life. It was dark. Is it? I think that's a Navy school or the Navy base. I don't remember. You don't know about? You don't know what?
Treasure Island?
Treasure Island, yeah.
Treasure Island.
I think that's a Navy base there.
I think you're right.
That's when we landed there. It was dark, so the next morning we went down. What is close there? San Francisco, Los Angeles? I forget.
I think is that by San Francisco?
What is the closest city there? I don't remember. It's Los Angeles.
San Francisco. Is it in Oceanside?
Yeah, Oceanside. Yeah,
That area?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I know we went there. There was a lot of hippies. So our first sergeant went with us, and our first sergeant was in his 50s, and he treated us like his sons. You know, so he when we're with him, we feel, you know, like he was a Superman. You know? We defend him, you know, with our life, because we've been with him through so many things, and he always was there with us. So. Well, there's hippies in San Francisco when we came in, and we were walking down the street, and it was some hippies on the other side, and they started yelling stuff at us. And first sergeant said, "Don't say anything, but if they come near us, we all gonna be fighting." So. They were really mean, you know. They're saying a lot of things that they wasn't true, or things that really hurt some of us. Well, all of us were there. We walked past there, so we went in this restaurant, and the restaurant wasn't bad. Some people started looking, but we were in uniform, in Class A uniform. And we walked out, and we had the same problem down the street with some other hippies that were singing in there. Telling us about what we're doing over there, why we didn't went to the enemy, why we're fighting in wars for the politicians and all things like that.
So now, do you remember the first time that you were thanked for your service in Vietnam?
I think it was maybe back in the 90s. Yeah, in the 90s. I saw some people, because I didn't tell anybody that, you know, most people didn't know.
What did you do after the war, or after you were discharged from the Marine Corps?
I went to school. I came here when this place, they didn't call them university back in those days. It was a state college. Teacher state college, they used to call them. I was so small back in those days, but it was nice college. I came here, teacher state college, and 2 years I came here. Then I found a job in Pratt Whitney in East Hartford. Then I went part-time here. I'm working there, and it took me a long time to finish my degree because I was only doing part-time. It took me like 3 years, altogether about 6 years to finish. 6 years, because I was working part-time and going to school. And after that, I teach in Catholic school, because in the Catholic school you don't need a you don't need a certification, and you can't teach only with a BA. You don't need a master's degree.
What was your BA degree in?
History, yeah. So I went there teaching 7th grade for about 2 years. Then I went back to Pratt Whitney, and I worked in Pratt Whitney, retired from Pratt Whitney.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But, and was your education supported by the GI Bill?
Yes.
And also after your service, do you have any lasting friendships from the Marine Corps that you continue?
Oh yeah. I met some guys in Massachusetts when I went to Northampton Hospital there one time for a test for Agent Orange, and from there they sent me to White River Junction in Vermont, because that's where they do the real tests up there in White River Junction, Vermont, the veteran hospital there, which is nice. It's a beautiful hospital up in there in Vermont. It's up in a hill, it's mountains all around. It's a beautiful place to be in White River. And I met two guys there. They were in the 1st Battalion. I was in the 3rd. They were in the 1st. And I just contact two friends of mine. One is Colorado. Yeah, I just find out. I put an ad in some paper, and we got together because I lost contact with them, and I talk to them often.
And I see by your hat that you joined a veterans organization.
Yeah, the American Legion, VFW, and Catholic War Veterans. And the First Marine Division Association.
So, with all these experiences, military, veterans associations, has it influenced the way that you think about war? From the time that you joined the service until now, how have those feelings changed?
Well, I think that when you go to war, you should go to war. No fooling around it. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't fire at this, you can't fire at that. You know, if the enemy is fighting the war against you, why you have to choose this? Don't do this, don't do that, don't fire this. I mean, when you go to war, do it and get out. You know, go to war and fight a war. Do what it takes. Finish early. Don't drag it out for years and years and years. Try to follow rules that doesn't make any sense. You can't fight until the enemy fire you first. You can't use this kind of weapon against the enemy. You can, like the enemy in Vietnam, they were using all kinds of traps and mines, and we're not allowed to do any of that. Somebody did it, behind their backs, but you can't do that. You can't put traps for the enemy. That's against the Geneva Convention. That's against this. It doesn't make sense. And war is very tough. War is one thing that the sooner you can get the war finished, the better it is for everybody. Also, I think it's better to fight a war in somebody else's country than your own. Yeah, because war is very crazy. When somebody occupies a country, they do weird, crazy things to the civilians or everything else. So it's better to go and fight in somebody else's country than the war comes to your country. That's when you learn what really war is, when the war comes to you. Then you will learn. War is bad. It's bad. You should avoid wars until it's really necessary. But if you go to war, fight a war. Don't fool around.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Mr. Guzman, for your service.
You're welcome.